Alright, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? I am Is There No One Else? I'm bringing you my dual wield and 2H Stamplar build for Clockwork City. I came out with a build a while ago that was 2H and bow. I really like it, but as you guys know, if you guys follow my channel, most of my Stamplar builds are iterations of dual wield and 2H. I like the playstyle quite a bit. Haven't played it yet this patch because I wanted to get my hands on a couple of weapons. Finally got them. Very, very happy with them. So this isn't going to be just a build video. I'm going to go through different things you can run, because Stamplar has a lot of versatility at this point. There's a lot of skills that you can use. There's a lot of skills you can take off. So I want to go through all that, but I'm going to tell you what I chose. I'm going to kind of explain why I chose the gear that I chose, why I chose the, skills, etc. Go through all that, and then you guys can make the choices. You guys can make your own decisions. So we're going to go through the gear first, skills, CP, and then I'm going to explain my reasoning at the end, like I normally do for my videos. So let's dive into it and not make this video 30 minutes. We're running a Maelstrom's Greatsword on the back bar. It doesn't have to be a Maelstrom Greatsword. It can be any two-hander on the back bar at this point. If you want to put a gap closer on, I think the Maelstrom Greatsword would be great. That's where I would put it, and then I would run the VMA Greatsword for that reason. This is defending right now. I'm going to trait this to powered. I think powered's just a little bit better. Increased healing's a little bit better than having increased resistances on one bar. So just my opinion. I think I'm going to do powered and see how that goes. We're not really running damage on our back bar. If you were running crit rush, I would switch it to Nirnhoned, because then you'd have increased healing and you'd have the damage from Nirn. So a couple choices there. We are also running the Master's one-handers. These are very powerful. I will go into talking about these here in a minute. Increase the bleed damage of twin slashes by 1465 for each tick. We're running a sword and a mace. This is what I got. I would prefer a sword, either two swords or a sword and an axe. Sword and axe I think would be the best way to do it, because then you can proc another bleed potentially. Two swords increase your damage with twin blade and blood passives, so two swords would be pretty good too. I am running double damage health poisons, but if you don't want to run poisons, I would run like a disease enchant or a poison enchant, and then maybe like a weapon damage enchant on this offhand. Both of them are sharpened. A lot of heavy armor builds, so I think sharpened's beneficial. Yeah. We're running 2 Troll King, 5 Ravager, and then 3 Agility. As far as our skills go, this is on our dual wield bar. We're running Rearming Trap, Blood Craze, Power of the Light, Binding Javelin, Biting Jabs, and Crescent Sweep. On our back bar, we are running Dawnbreaker of Smiting, Resolving Vigor, Restoring Focus, Rally, Extended Ritual, and Repentance. Now, skills that you don't really need, like Repentance is good for you, but if you're running with a Stamplar buddy and he's running Repentance, you guys are going to fight over bodies. You could take Repentance off, maybe put Crit Rush here, or you could put Trap back here, and then you put like Deadly Cloak on the front bar. So then you have Deadly Cloak's pretty good as well. If you come down here and you go to Blade Cloak, you can either run Quick Cloak and get Major Expedition, or you can run Deadly Cloak to get the increased damage. It does good damage over time, but it also reduces AoE damage effects by 25%. So any ground-based AoE, any jabs, any AoE ultimate, it also reduces. It makes you very tanky in PvE. The same thing applies to PvP. Yeah, it's a very powerful skill for both aspects. So you could run Deadly Cloak here. You can run Trap on your back bar if you don't want to run Repentance, or you could put Crit Rush here and then keep Trap on your front bar. But I think Trap's very useful for a Stamplar. Yeah. So those are the skills. As far as our CP goes, we're running 15 into Siphoner, 40 Warlord, 56 Tenacity, 75 Mooncalf, 44 into Tumbling, 19 into Blessed, 11 Shattering Blows. We want a few points here to hit those Zorks, 43 into Mighty, 47 Piercing, 44 Precise Strikes, 66 into Thaumaturge. Jabs count as a damage over time effect, so we want to buff our jabs. Buffs our rending slashes, buffs our trap. This is all very good for us. 29 into Resistant, 51 Ironclad, 49 Hardy, 49 LE Defender, 9 into Thick Skin, 43 into Quick Recovery. That's the gear. As far as consumables go, and I always forget this, my bad. as far as consumables go, we are running Lava Foot Soup and Salt Trees from the Max Stam and Stam Recovery. We're running Detect Pots, immovable Speed Pots, and Lingering Health Pots. So depending on the fight, we might want Lingering Health, or we might want immovable Speed Pots, or for a Nightblade, we might want a Detect Pot to get them out of stealth. As far as our stats go, when we buff up, we're going to buff up at some point. Okay, there we go. That's really weird. It's really laggy today. So we're at 2,700 weapon damage, 27% crit, 35k stam, 1953 stamina recovery, 17,000 spell, 15,000 physical unbuffed. As you guys know, we are running Ravager. So if I buff up and I hit with a set of jabs, Ravager basically goes off immediately. We jump to 3,500 weapon damage, 37% crit for a heavy armor build, which is pretty solid, 35k stam. So we do hit very hard with this build. Not as hard as a few iterations that I've run, but not as strong as a few of the iterations that I've run, but we make up for that with the Masters one-handers. So 5 in health, 59 stamina. We are running the Serpent Mundus. Pretty good sustain, really good damage. Yeah, I think that's about it. So that's what I'm running. As far as why I'm running what I'm running, I'm going to go through the gear explanation here right now. But I wanted to choose Ravager because it's just really good burst damage. You could choose Shackle Breaker or Hunding's Rage if you want the less damage, but it's all the time. With the way Ravager procs for a Stamplar, it like always procs. Our set of jabs can always does a really good job of proccing it. It lasts for 10 seconds, 10-second cooldown. So once it comes off a cooldown, if we're on the offensive, we can basically just proc it again. See, it just went down. Oh, I thought I had procced it. There it goes. So it went down. Basically, like a second later, it procced again. So I think it's really powerful for a Stamplar. Other classes, not so much, but Stamplar, I think Ravager is just the way to go. You could run 7th Legion. 7th Legion is very powerful as well. Really great for 1vxing. The problem with 7th Legion isn't that, it's not good damage. It's just that for a Stamplar, Ravager procs so much that I think it becomes the better 5-piece than 7th for that reason. When you're fighting like 1 or 2 people, 7th isn't going to proc as much, so you're not going to have the same damage that you will with Ravaging. You're not going to have the same uptime that Ravaging will. So I like to hit hard on my Stamplar. That's why I went with Ravaging. 7th would make you more tanky. Shackle or Hundings would give you more flat damage, a little bit more sustain for Purifies. They're good options, but that's why I went with Ravaging. Now, as far as my other choice, I bounce back and forth between a few sets, and the choices are Hulking, Automaton, or 5-piece Spriggan. And Deltia from a while back came out with a really good video discussing the sets. He did a bunch of testing. Really good to go check out. You just do a search for Deltia and then, gear set comparisons. The long story short is Spriggan's hits really hard. So does Automaton. And Hulking isn't as much damage as the two of them. But what Hulking does is, since it's on both bars, we're going to have better healing with Hulking Draugr as a 5-piece than we will with Spriggans or Otto. Otto is great for the front bar, but we're not going to be able to run this on the front bar because we're running the Masters one-handers. So this is a really good set, does a ton of damage, but I didn't like the fact that our Vigor heals were going to hit for less because we were running, this weapon damage to your physical damage abilities doesn't buff our heals the way Hulking Draugr does. Bone Pirates is also a good choice, but I liked Hulking because it gives us more max stam. It's not going to be as much damage for the same recovery as Bone Pirates, but the max stam scales with our Power of the Light. It scales with our Pendants, which we're running both of on this bar, or on this setup. So Hulking works really well for a Stamplar if you're running those two things. With our Rending Slashes bleed, we're going to be able to fill Power of the Light quite a bit, so I liked Hulking. Now, that's why I chose Hulking between these other sets. At the end of the day, though, when I was running around in PvP, not gonna lie, I got slightly triggered last night running across a group of 4 people. Pure Healer, Tank, Warden, just literally his entire goal was to snare me in place with the Frost Ultimate, and then 2 people just doing DPS, a Genki sniping Nightblade, and then just another Stamplar. And so the one guy's job was to snare me in place. The other guy's job was to keep everybody alive because the two DPS didn't know how to heal themselves, which is fine. But that's kind of the way it is in the game right now. You know, some people just want to run really cringy builds, and that's fine. But that's part of the game, and you know, you can get mad about it. And I got a little annoyed last night. Got my 1vx in, but you have to be able to adjust, and you have to know like what the layout of the game is. And right now, a lot of people are running a lot of heal debuff builds. And when you're 1vxing, you can't always purify everything. When you're, you know, we don't have a big magic pool. So if all of a sudden we purify a couple times, there will be times where maybe we get reverbed or we get incapped, and we can't purify it right away. And so all of a sudden, you know, somebody's running Major Defile, or somebody's running Major Defile with Fasalas, or you know, they have 50 points in the heal reduction in the CP tree, and our Vigor heals are going to shit, and then we get XV1. You know, the adjustment is to run Troll. That's why I chose Troll King. Troll King will proc off our Purify. If we get incapped in the Purify and we're on the ground, our Purify will proc Troll King for us. Our Purify also procs Troll King for our buddies. So if we're playing in a group and they're fighting around our Purify and they drop below 50% health, we're now buffing the group with Troll King. So it's very useful for group play. Very strong for Stamplars. Obviously, they nerfed the health recovery, which was a good thing. But yeah, the heal reductions are very powerful right now. And Troll King's a good way to get by it, since we're going to take all of the damage as a Stamplar. You know, we can't avoid damage with Cloak, you know. So we want to make sure that we, you know, have that increased healing. That's why I chose Troll King. You don't have to choose that. You can go Slimecraw. You can go 5 Hulking Draugr. Draugur's still really good. It's just I ran across too many groups of people to where I just said, screw it. I'm going to take the less damage. I'm going to put on Agility and Troll King. And the reason we can do that, guys, is because of how strong the Masters one-handers are. And that's probably what I should have started off with. But these Masters one-handers are so freaking strong. I remember reading the patch notes, and I was really excited about these, and then I kind of forgot about them. There's so many gear sets out right now, I completely forgot about these weapons. I was doing Battlegrounds with a few friends, and we're playing Capture the Flag. And playing against this group, and this one guy's hitting us with like some really hard-rending slashes, bleeds, like it's like lasts for, you know, we die, like he hits us, and then we get ulti dumped, and I died, and I looked at my damage, and it was like 6k rending slashes over a course of like 3 seconds, and I was like, what the hell? Like, that was barely even on me when I died, you know, and it hit me that hard. At one point, this guy got the flag, and he was going back to his base, and so I crit rushed him, and I was about ready to execute him, or, you know, I was doing damage. He turned around and hit me with rending slashes, and then ran back to his flag, and the rending slashes hit me so hard that I couldn't continue to chase him down, or else I was going to literally expose myself. He dropped me down to half health in a matter of like 3 seconds. I had to stop and pop Vigor, and my Vigor heal was not healing through his rending slashes bleed. So I then had to stop, I had to rally, I had to Vigor again, just to get that 1 damage over time effect off of me. So I went back, saw that it was the Masters one-handers. Very, very powerful, and I just messed up. But if we look, you know, we're not going to buff up here, but I want to show you what I have for Masters, and I'm just going to show you the comparison. So I have the Masters Mace, it's purple, it's sharpened, and then I have the Masters Sword, gold, sharpened. If we switch out this Masters Purple Mace for a Ravaging Mace, literally it's the exact same thing, guys, damage-wise. It's sharpened, it's purple, it's CP 160. We're just taking off the Masters weapon. We want to see what the rending slashes bleed normally does. So we hit with rending slashes, 3492 for a crit, 1973 non-crit. So let's just remember those numbers. We're going to go in there, and we're going to take off our mace, and we're going to put on the Master's weapon once we can. But basically, and I'll show it and I'll confirm it, but basically what the Masters one-handers do is it doubles your rending slashes bleed. That enchant turns into about double rending slashes. So 3936 non-crit. So it was 1972 or 1973. We're now up to 3936, 7k crits. It stacks. It's not 2 different dots. It's not the rending slashes dot and then like a 1500 more dot. It stacks into your rending slashes, and all of that combined can then crit. So very powerful bleed effect. Very, very strong. Bleeds are very good in this game because they ignore resistances. It doesn't matter how much Whether you're in light armor or heavy armor, if you hit somebody with this rending slashes, it's going to ignore their armor. It's going to always bleed for what it says it bleeds for. It also heals. This is the one I'm using. Also heals you. It's a lot of pressure. So especially with our specific build, and that's why we're able to get away with some of the stuff we're running and not running as much damage as we used to. So a typical fight with this build, let's say we're in the sewers and the target skeleton is the enemy, and they're on the flag. What I like to do is I like to drop a trap like around a corner before I go in, because this is going to be my exit path. So if I go in on a group of people and I don't get the kill the way I wanted, or it's not going, like they ulti dump me and they're like somebody's doing a shit ton of damage and I have to get out, I want to get out, get around a corner. The first person to come into this trap, I'm going to melt. And so I basically snare them in place. I'm going to hit them with my rending slashes, power the light, ulti, and then I'm going to javelin them. So I like to drop a trap right there. If you're fighting Magplars or a lot of stationary builds, you can literally drop a trap underneath their feet. Stand builds, not so much, but I like to start one off that way. I like to drop one in the fight as well if one of them triggers. But we're not running a gap closer, but the reason we can get away with it is how far away we can hit with our heavy attacks. So I'm doing damage this far away, and if you look how far away I am from the target skeleton, heavy attacks are just kind of silly right now. Like, you shouldn't be able to hit from this far away with, it just doesn't make any sense, but that's the way it is. You have a lot of range with your heavy attacks, but typically what we're going to do is we're going to come in with a heavy attack, rending slashes, light attack, power the light, and then we're going to go in and start jabbing. And right before the power of light goes off, we're going to CC them on the ground with javelin. That way they eat the full power of the light. I am running Dawnbreaker on the back bar, so you can run Dawnbreaker for the knockdown for a bunch of people. I'm running Radial Sweep on the front bar because it also procs Burning Light, which is another. It's a Templar passive that does more damage. It's very, very bursty. So, like I said, we'll do heavy attack, rending slashes, light attack, power of the light. We can do our crescent, one set of jabs, and then javelin, and then they're going to be on the ground. All that goes off. We have 35k stamina, so our power of the light's actually pretty big. All that's going to store, and it's just a lot of pressure. If all of a sudden they heal through it, or it's like a Templar, and they pop a healing ulti, literally drop a trap on their feet, snare them in place, hit them with rending slashes, get all these ticks on them, and then get to jabbing, and they're going to have a lot of pressure on them. So very powerful, very, very strong. More of a unique playstyle. Like, you can run an execute on the back bar if you want. There's a lot of things you can do. This is just what I chose. So if you guys have any questions about the build, or options, or what else you could run, you could absolutely run. Like I said, you could run 5-piece Hundings, you can run 5 Shackle, you can run 5 7th, you can run another 5-piece set on the body. But I really like the Troll King for the healing. So, and because of that, then we it kind of pigeonholes us into running 3 agility, which isn't bad because agility is very powerful. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the build. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.